You spent days on your mix. You tweak the EQ, adjust the compression, and bounce yet another version, only to realize you like mix 1 the best. Does that sound familiar?
And then before you know it, you've lost all interest in the song that you once loved.
Hi there, welcome to Mixing Breakdown Room. I'm JBP.
And I'm Claudia.
And in this video, we're giving you 5 concrete checkpoints to know when your mix is actually done. No more guesswork, no more endless revisions.
Make sure you stay till the end of the video. We have a gift for you.
Let's end the cycle and start finishing mixes with confidence. Mixing is both technical and emotional at the same time. And so you need to hit both in order to have a great mix. Here are some technical checkpoints to look out for to know when your mix is done. First of all, using a mix reference. As we've mentioned in the past on the channel, using a mix reference is a very important part of our workflow when mixing. Hopefully you are already using mix references while you're mixing, but this is especially important when it comes to wrapping up a mix. However, every song is different and requires different needs. So what are we looking for in these mix references? How can a different song than ours help us finish a mix? Mix references are very useful because the moment you compare them to your mix, it can quickly point out if there are any red flags. First of all, pay attention to the frequency balance. Is your mix brighter or darker compared to the mix reference? That could be your first indication that something needs to change. This also applies to individual elements within the mix. For example, your vocal. Maybe your vocal is warmer and darker, but the reference and the sound you're going for is something more bright and upfront. The next thing to look out for is dynamic range. Listen to your mix and the reference and compare how compressed things are. If your mix is in a similar ballpark, then you're good. And the same applies to the individual elements. Is their vocal very compressed and upfront, or does it have more dynamics and sound more natural? Same goes with the bass. Is their low end really tight and consistent, or does the bass move a bit more? The next thing to look out for is volume balance. Are the loudest elements in your reference the loudest elements in your mix? If you flip to the reference and realize that in your mix the vocal sticks out too much, that's one example how the reference will quickly point out where your mix needs to be improved. So the second checkpoint is mix translation. Mix translation is how your mix sounds across different playback devices. This could be your phone speakers, earphones like AirPods, or your mixing monitors. What we're looking for is a mix that translates well across these various devices. But obviously, a phone speaker will never sound like a system with a sub. So what are we looking for here? A mix translates well when the overall balance of the mix is similar across different playback devices. So the important elements and the loudest elements should be the loudest elements across all these different devices. Additionally, the energy of the mix should translate the same. For example, if you're mixing a song that has a lot of groove and makes you want to dance when you're listening on headphones or your studio speakers, but when you go to the phone, it lacks that drive and energy, then maybe you need to go back and fix that in the mix. But remember, the point is not to check on all the devices that exist in the world. Pick a few that you're familiar with and remember to play your reference on those other devices as well. And the third checkpoint is to listen for any artifacts. So this might be clipping, clicks and pops, unwanted noise, bad edits, things of that sort. And the most important point here is to listen out for anything that might distract the listener from emotionally engaging with the song, which leads us to the next 2 checkpoints on our list.
So remember, music is felt with our hearts. So this checklist won't be complete without some emotional checkpoints. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the fresh ear test. Ear fatigue is a real thing. Because when you're mixing a song, you're probably listening to the same song for over 100 times. It is possible to get used to a sound when you play it over and over again. For example, if your bass is too loud in a mix, but you're listening with such an amount of repetition, you end up thinking it's fine because you got used to it. So what to do is to take a break, relax, come back to it, and have a listen. This helps because it gives your ears, your mind, a new perspective. So when you're listening, ask yourself these 2 questions. Do you hear things immediately that needs fixing? And do you find yourself over-analyzing rather than experiencing it as a listener? So I can share with you what I would usually do. After taking a break, I come back, I will listen twice. The first time, I'll focus on feeling it and just trying my best not to analyze it. But obviously, if I start analyzing, then something must be fixed. And then the second time when I'm listening, I will actually open a notes and I'll start typing at which section and at what point something is too loud, something's off, I hear this, I hear that. And then you have like a list of things that you can fix in your mix. But remember not to overdo this, because you end up endlessly changing things and keep doing this test over and over again. And obviously this is not the point of this video, right? The point of this video is we want to finish the mix. So just remember to include all the other checkpoints from this video and not just focus on this one point. The final point of this video is the vibe check. Does the sound of my mix enhance the song's emotion? Is my mix technically nice but emotionally flat? This is possible because sometimes you can be putting random effects just for the sake of putting effects without really knowing what the music is trying to say or what the vocal is trying to sing. Or you end up having a whole song without any dynamic range. For example, you try to get every section as loud as possible, as punchy as possible. And when you're listening as a whole, there's no emotional dynamics and I can't feel anything. So you can ask yourself a few questions. Does my intro grab the attention? For example, if there is a solo at the very beginning, does it pop enough for people to turn on this music, they want to listen to the rest of the song? Obviously, it goes to songwriting as well, but you know what I'm saying. And also, do the transitions serve their purpose? Is that swell big enough that will bring into the chorus? Is the last chorus the biggest and the most powerful part of the whole song? If so, is it powerful enough? Is it big enough? Is the contrast big enough? Does the vibe of my mix fit with the reference and the chosen genres? For example, if I'm listening to the reference, I will bob my head to it, but when I'm listening to my own mix, I don't feel the same. The goal of these last two checkpoints is to stop you from analyzing your own mix over and over again and really try to listen to your music through a listener's perspective.
Remember that a mix is never truly perfect. There's always something you could adjust. But the question isn't whether you could make those changes, but rather if those changes meaningfully impact the listener's experience.
If you've hit most of the checkpoints that we mentioned and the song connects with you emotionally while sounding technically professional, you're probably done. We've compiled all the checkpoints from this video into a free checklist, so you don't have to guess when your next mix is done. Grab it in the description box below.
Now we want to hear from you. Which of these checkpoints do you already use? Are there any checkpoints you would add to this list? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, remember to like it and share it with someone who's endlessly revising mixes. And lastly, remember to subscribe for more mixing content. See you in the next one.